Hi, everybody. I've welcomed everybody in the room so far, and I want to welcome you who are online. We're having a few technical difficulties. Hopefully you're here for Scorpio astrology, then you're in the right place. I wore black because Scorpios are very dark people. And so we're going to be talking about a little of that darkness tonight, as well as the light of Scorpio. Because you really are a balance. Scorpios are a balance of light and darkness. And for Scorpios, even beyond any other sign in the zodiac, it's a challenge for you to balance the two. You spend your whole life doing it. And if you're evolved, then you have figured out the balance. And if you're still evolving, then you're still figuring out what that looks like. And we're going to talk about what I mean by light and darkness. Because for most of the signs of the zodiac, darkness isn't a literal thing. For Scorpio, it is. It's a literal thing. Now, I was making a joke earlier today that I really understand Scorpios, because Scorpio and I, really, if you think about it, Leos, we're the only two who have totem animals who could kill you. It's funny, right? And by the way, if you guys are online, the chat feature is not working right this second, so I would love to think that you are chatting and letting me know that you're there. I can't see it right now, but as soon as the chat pops up, I'll be able to engage and answer your questions. I just don't want you to think I'm ignoring you. Right now, the people in the room have the ability to interact with me more directly than you do, but we're working on it. So yeah, so if you think about it, you know, Cancer is a little bit scary. You know, cancers are scary people because they don't forgive. They hold a grudge for a lifetime. But they're not going to come and like claw you to death. You know what I mean? They could try. Scorpions are very interesting creatures. Has anyone ever experienced a scorpion in person? Yeah? They're all over where I live, and I have encountered them in person before. I was this close to stepping on one when I was young. And I know people who've had family members who were killed by them. They do sting, and they are deadly. And they come out in the heat. You know, Scorpios respond to temperature just like their totem creatures do. But here's what's really interesting. If you look at the broader history and mythology about Scorpios, they have two totem animals. Does anybody know what the second one is? The eagle. That's right. So, and that's what I'm talking about. Scorpios embody this really divine duality, much like Gemini, by the way, where they are either flying or crawling. Do you know what I mean? Through life. They're either flying or crawling. And the goal, I think, for you, Scorpio, is if you know, I'm not saying you need to fly all the time. Sometimes you're going to crawl through your life. This is part of who you are. But I think it's about figuring out the right balance. So you're not always flying, you're not always crawling. And so it's about rising above. Eagle sees things from an elevation. Eagle has clarity. The message of the totem of eagle is to get greater clarity in your life. So when you're in that place, Scorpio, you have that beautiful clarity about your life, about what's happening, about the people around you. When you're in that Scorpion place, you know, and it's hot and you're coming out and you're pissed off and you're doing this and stuff, you know, that's not a clarity place. That is a more of a reactive place as opposed to a proactive place, a place of viewing. Do you know what I mean? So those animals are beautiful metaphors for how Scorpio moves in the world. I want to talk about Scorpio kids tonight. I want to talk about Scorpio parents tonight. I want to talk about Scorpio lovers, if you've been lucky enough, tonight. I want to talk about how different Scorpio men and women are, in my opinion. You may tell me you think that they're exactly the same. And it's interesting, right? They're not. And one of my astrology books says, oh, the best partner for a Scorpio is another Scorpio. And I'm sitting there reading it, and I'm like, really? The best partner for a Scorpio is a Scorpio? I would say no. I would say Scorpios, it's sort of like Leo. If you say the best partner for a Leo is a Leo, that's arson. You don't want that. That is going to burn your house down. I don't think, just like Leos are too much for themselves, so why would you burden us with more of that? I think Scorpios, you're too much for yourself. I wouldn't want to burden you with more of you. I want to try and temper you and balance you and give you a different perspective, a different way of being. And then they said the second best sign for a Scorpio, the same book, is Pisces. No way. Are you kidding me? I mean, you know, you can hurt a Pisces by looking at them the wrong way, right? You really, and I mean wound them for life, right? If you look at them the wrong way. Yes. Scorpios have that look. Do you know the look I'm talking about? Like, they have the look. A lot of people have the look, but Scorpios have like the the look. And you have to sit there. It's almost like the sting. They can't sting you like the animal, but they can look at you and you've been stung. And Pisces, I don't know, could recover from that. You know, it would just be so scary for a Pisces. So anyway, we'll talk about all of that tonight. And then what else do I want to talk about? I want to talk about karmic lessons. Can we talk about karmic lessons? We haven't talked about this much with the other signs, but I came up with these modes, these ways of being, Scorpio, that I think you're engaging in, and then what the partner karmic lesson is for each of those things that you're doing. And I have two that I think are really profound, and they're going to be very helpful for you in terms of understanding your own dualities. So do you remember last month I told you about how Virgo and Scorpio were in a battle? Do you remember this? Mm-hmm. And who came along and created balance for them? Libra. And so that's how Libra became, I mean, Libra literally came and pushed them apart, which is why Libra is that sign, the 11, right? The duality, the scales. And so Libra pushed Virgo to the light, and Libra pushed Scorpio to the dark. And so Libra's life lesson is to try and find the light in others and to try and engage more in the light. And Scorpio's life lesson is to try and, it's a weird life lesson, but to try and find and help people embrace the darkness in themselves, and to try and find and reconcile the darkness within themselves too. So it's this very interesting path. I would say of all the signs that Virgo and Scorpio have the hardest time really meeting each other halfway. And I like to say it's rooted in that like mythological or that historic battle that they were in to try and figure out who's going to take light and who's going to take darkness. And Virgo's too much of a... Virgo really enjoys telling you what's wrong with you. That is a hobby for Virgos. I'm married to one, and it's a hobby. And they that's how they express love. Like, oh, did you know you have something on your face? You know, right here. And that's love. That's them telling you, I love you. It's a different way of telling you that I love you, and it's something you have to learn how to stomach over time in a relationship with them. Like, oh, I love you too. Thank you for telling me that. Scorpio really would tolerate none of that. But it's funny how Scorpio would respond to that. Leos would just be like, could you not ever do that again, please? And at least don't do it in public. Could you not do that? Scorpio wouldn't say anything to you. Scorpio just would never speak to you again. They'd give you the look, and then they would never speak to you again. So, and you know, I have so much I want to tell you. I'm looking at my notes because I want to make sure I don't miss anything. Scorpio knows that Scorpio doesn't need to be friends with you or anyone else. That is one thing Scorpio has complete clarity about. Leo would like to be friends with everybody. Leo would really like to make it happen. Same with Libra, like to be friends with everybody. Gemini may not want to be friends with everybody, but they want to talk to everybody. Right? It's true. They at least want to talk to everybody. They'll decide later if they like you. Taurus wants to be surrounded by beauty, so if you're beautiful, Taurus will tolerate you for a long time if you bring them the things or you make things pretty. Scorpio's really clear they don't need you. And so if you want to enter into a relationship with Scorpio, you're going to spend a lot of time convincing them that you are worth their time and energy and attention because they don't give it freely. Scorpions and Scorpios are very happy to be alone. They're very happy to be alone. And in fact, they need a lot of alone time. I know quite a few Scorpios. Do you know Scorpios who live alone? I know quite a few. And they're not unhappy. I always swore my grandma was a Scorpio because she aspired her whole life to live alone. She could not wait for her kids to get older and her husband to and she had two husbands who passed away before the last one who left her. But she was always like, when is everybody going to get out of my house? She could not wait. I was like, are you sure you're not a Scorpio? That's such a Scorpio way. She was an Aquarius, double Aquarius. But as Aquarius too, they're like, oh, I'm supposed to be married? Here, let me get divorced. They just do things like really differently just to be different. So let me go through some qualities that I think describe Scorpio. Before I do that, let me light the candle. As you know, there are sets of tools. Actually, let me smudge first. I normally smudge before I begin everything, but our technical difficulties had me a little distracted. Maybe if I smudge the heck out of my computer. It's a fresh bundle, too. So exciting to me. It's just so exciting. It never loses its appeal. I don't think I have my smudge fan, so I will auto smudge. A little bit for you. We've already smudged the room. Feels so good. We probably smudge 20 times a day in this building, and it feels good every time. Oh, there are little people in here, so I'm not going to overdo it. Although my kids ask for it. They call it mudge. And they ask me to mudge. If they have a nightmare, could you mudge, please? It needs a mudge. Okay. So, I don't know if you appreciated the humor. Every month I write a mantra on the candles. Did you see Scorpio's mantra for this month?
Yeah.
I am really this dark. I can't get it to focus. It says, I am really this dark. Usually I try to write something kind of nice and something true. And this one's for you, Scorpio, so you are really that dark. The incense I've had burning in the room all day, and I love it. So hopefully you're enjoying these tools. I'm going to pass Scorpio Perfume around in case anybody in the room didn't get to enjoy it. It's a lot of violet and a lot of clove. There's also bay and bayberry in Scorpio. So to me, it's very seasonal. I tried to make it smell like now. You know, like something you would smell now in the fall. So that clove picks up, that clove and bayberry combination really almost smells Christmassy, but then the violet tones it down a little bit. Scorpios like to be mysterious. They like to wear perfume that you don't recognize. You notice that? You ask a Scorpio what they're wearing, and they're like,
It's me.
you know, it's me. Wow.
I woke up like this.
I don't know if you heard that. I woke up like this, right?
Yep.
Sucks to be amazing. Okay, so some of the qualities and traits of Scorpio. They are beautiful. Libras are super cute. Have you noticed that? Libras are super cute. You can always tell a Libra because they've got the best smiles. It's like, I don't have a Libra smile. I have Libra rising, but I don't have that smile. It's like, it's just, they're attractive people, Libras in general, and then they smile and it's like the whole room just lights up. Do you know what I mean? Show me a Libra who doesn't have a winning smile. I'll give you $5. Not today, but some other day I'll give you $5 for that. I have to be careful. Like, I showed her one, she didn't give me $5. But Scorpios are beautiful. Did you have a question?
Well, I just had a quick question.
Yeah.
As we're talking about Scorpios for your sun sign, how does that affect you if it's your rising sign?
Oh, we are totally going to talk about that tonight.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
stay tuned. Yeah, so I should have prefaced and said we talk about sun, moon, and rising
Okay.
in this session. And for, you know what's interesting? I'm glad you brought it up because I want to say something about that. A lot of times, it's kind of similar. Do you know what I mean? Like, I talk about Scorpio, and I'm like, so if you're rising, that's similar, but it just means that's how you show up in the world. And if you're moon, it's similar, but that's kind of subconsciously how you are. With Scorpio, it's actually different. Like, Scorpio moon people are their own camp. And Scorpio rising people, I call them the tricksters. Because they seem aloof, and they seem mysterious, and they seem, you know, like they don't want to be your friend because they don't have to be your friend. But chances are their sun and their moon signs are in other signs. And so what if they're a Gemini sun and then they're Scorpio rising? Right? I mean, what would anybody have that combination? I would really like to meet you if that's your guy. I would like to know more about that. That would be a very difficult package.
And if you're Scorpio sun and rising?
If you're sun and rising, then you're just like double what I'm going to talk about right now. You have all the magic and more. I always just go, psst, or I'm going to get you.
So Anthony's a Gemini.
Anthony's Gemini?
You know, with a Scorpio moon.
Okay.
And
So-
Cancer rising, which he pretends like he cares, but
He pretends like he cares. I always say I pretend like I'm friendly because I'm Libra rising. I actually am friendly, but you know, so you're rising. I'll say this, and then I'm gonna go back into sun, but we're gonna get to rising and moon. Your rising sign, and I say this every time, is your mask. It's how you show up to the world. People who don't know you well are gonna know you as your rising sign. Does that make sense? That's how you first interact with people. And it's so, we're interviewing people right now because we're hiring for 2 positions here at Sage Goddess. And I ask people what their sun sign is, but I really want to know what their rising sign is. It's so interesting when you don't know people well, and it's like, wow, because you really did show up as a Capricorn, but then they're an Aries sun, you know? And all of a sudden that fire starts kicking in, and I'm like, I knew it was there. Where is it? I'm going to push your buttons until I can make you mad. I want to see the Aries. Fight with me, fight with me, fight with me. But they're like, you know, they're acting all serious because they're Capricorn rising. So your rising is your mask. Your sun sign is who you really are, and it's your lifelong work to evolve into that sign. So you spend your entire life becoming that. And it usually is a lifelong work to fully become that sign and to become an evolved version of that sign. And there are evolved sun signs and there are unevolved sun signs. An evolved Scorpio, by the way, way different than an unevolved Scorpio. Way different. You know, they've mellowed out. They're not going through the world, you know. We'll talk about evolved and unevolved. And then your moon is your subconscious. It's almost like what you do when you're on autopilot and you're not thinking about it, if that makes sense. So it's the behind the scenes of you. It's the things you do when people aren't looking. It's the things you think when you're all by yourself, right? That's why Scorpio Moon is real scary. Because I call them the zombie lovers. I got that from my daughter, but she's a Scorpio Moon, and she's 6, and she wants to be a zombie for Halloween. Really? Could we be Elsa? Or, I don't know, Jasmine? Or anything? A cheerleader? A monkey? And she's like, no, I want to be a zombie, and I want 2 broken fingers with blood on them. And then so I said, well, I'm not sure about that. And she said, it's okay. Uncle Jeff said he'd bring the blood. So she's already like gone around to other members of the family to make sure that other people are bringing the blood, just in case I said no. That's sneaky Scorpio Moon, but who also loves zombies. So Scorpio Moon people, you may not love a zombie, but you do like to explore the darker side. Scorpio Moon people are kind of obsessed with death. Haven't really met a Scorpio Moon person who wasn't at least a little interested in death and dying. And what happens to your soul when you die, right? A little bit of that. Any Scorpio Moons in the room? Not a one, huh? Look at you. So when we're done here, go to astro.com. It's free. You enter you got to know your birth date, like to the minute. You have to know the city you were born in, and that's all you need to know. And then it'll pull up a natal chart for you, which will show the positions of all planets right when you were born. And your rising is your ascendant, like what sign was on the horizon when you were born. It'll show your sun sign and then your moon sign. Yeah. And then from there you will want to run everybody else's chart that you know. It's when I first discovered that site, started running birth chart data, I ended up creating a folder. I think I told you this. Like I stayed up the whole night and I was like, and now I'm gonna run my aunt, you know, and it's like printing out all the, but it helps you know how people are, to me anyway. Okay, so Scorpio, let's go back to Scorpio. What are they? They are intense people. Pisces, because they're water signs, right? So we have to understand that Scorpio is one of the 3 water signs. Pisces is intense too, because Pisces feels everything. Pisces feels you, Pisces feels me, Pisces feels Mother Ocean, Pisces feels the animals, right? All the time. From the time they wake up, they're dreaming about it. They're dreaming all the feelings, right? It must be a hard job. I wouldn't want to do it. I have no water in my chart, so I like to say I have no feelings. It makes life so much easier. Let me tell you, not feeling the feelings. That's why I'm married a Virgo. I don't think I'd survive marriage to a Virgo if I had all the water in my chart. And thank you for this. Okay. Scorpio feels all the feelings too, but they take them to the extremes. Do you know what I mean? It's like if there's a spectrum of all the feelings, Scorpio is either way over here or way over here. Pisces knows how to swim between the extremes. Does that make sense? So Pisces can handle moderation. Pisces can calibrate emotions. It's very difficult for Scorpio to calibrate emotions because Scorpios are either all the way here or all the way there. They are seductive. There are children. Scorpio. I would use different language if there weren't children in the room. So I'm going to just use code to tell you that they are very sensual people. And there are other words I would use to describe that. They are, what you know I'm trying to say, they are that embodied. Okay? Like they are that in a human form. I always say it's like with Scorpios, that's about to happen all the time for them. Like, and if it isn't, they wish it was. unless there's something else aspecting them. Okay, so if they're a Scorpio sun, there are certain signs that are less inclined to sensuality. Do you know what I mean? Certain signs. So if it's a Scorpio sun, Taurus is an example. Taurus can go without, so can Virgo. The earth signs, it's kind of, sometimes it's like, yeah, you can take it or leave it. So you could have a Scorpio sun with a Taurus moon. That might not be somebody who's ready to do that all the time. But if you have a Scorpio sun and a Scorpio moon, you need a special kind of friend in your life. A special kind of friend who can help you, or just you to help yourself. There might be enough of you for you that you don't even need a friend to do that. So I'm going to leave that there. Very seductive, but they are physically attractive people. Scorpios don't have to run around trying to figure out how to get a partner. Really, if you find a single Scorpio, and I know quite a few. Do you know single Scorpios? I know quite a few single Scorpios. Let me tell you, they are single by choice. I believe that Scorpios, if they're single, are single by choice. Again, there's aspecting there. So I have a Scorpio friend who's single. She has Capricorn rising and moon. And so she's taken all of that Scorpio sensuality, and it's very grounded within her. And honestly, she'd rather work. Does that make sense? So she kind of just works all the time, and she's found a way to sublimate some of that desire because there's so much earth in her chart. And Capricorns, the only thing that matters to Capricorn really at the end of the day is achievement. We're going to talk about Capricorn in a couple months. I've got a lot to say about the Capricorns. But Capricorns are here to work. So are Virgos. Capricorns, let me be more clear. Capricorns are here to achieve, not just to work. They're here to achieve. If you are competing with a Capricorn for a job, they will not like you, and they will work very hard to make sure that you guys don't become personal friends because they don't like to mix business and pleasure. And their whole reason for being is to get that job. So I always tell people, if you meet a Capricorn and they say, oh yeah, we're going for the same job, good luck or whatever, it's like, get out of the way right now. That is not somebody who's looking out for you and your best interest right now. Scorpios are secretive. Secrets. All water signs keep secrets, let me tell you. That's just what they do. I feel like the water signs in my life, it was a long time for me before I knew anything about them, including my own sister. My sister was secretive. She's a Cancer. But Cancers do it too. It's like, and it's almost like they keep secrets about stuff, and it's like, you don't have to keep that a secret. Do you know what I mean? You really like, it's weird, right? Like, you really like Downy paper towel or whatever. You know what I mean? And that's the only brand you'll buy. I don't even know if that's a brand, but whatever, right? Tide detergent. You really like Tide detergent. You buy it in bulk, and you like weird things like that where it's 20 years later, it's I only use that brand of detergent, but I just haven't told anybody kind of thing. What? And then you go think, God, I've lived with you for all these years, and you're right. Why did you keep that a secret? And the Leos are like that. I can't even trust you. You're going to keep that from me, and I can't even have a relationship with you right now. Because Leos, we lay it out. We're like, first of all, you need to know I only use Tide detergent. And you should know that. You should know that right now, kind of thing. Astrology is funny because the fire signs tell you everything. The water signs tell you nothing. They tell you nothing. And what happens to a Scorpio? Let me instead of telling you this, let me ask you this. What happens to a Scorpio if you start trying to figure it out? Start trying to ask some questions.
They won't talk to you. Shut down.
Yeah. Gemini, this is where it would really be a problem for you, Gemini, because Geminis are like, let me get to know you a little bit better, and Scorpios are like, why? So I'll pick on Kelly for a second. Kelly Castaneda is one of our lead visual designers here at Sage Goddess. She's very talented. She's magical. I have to ask Kelly how she is. I do. I ask you every day, don't I, Kelly? How are you? And then she'll say yeah, I'm okay. And I'm like, so, and then I'll ask her again, how are you? I'm trying to get a, and she'll tell me now, but I bet you in the early part of our relationship, if I'd started digging, she'd be like, why? What do you want, And she's an evolved Scorpio. This is not somebody who doesn't know herself, but she's an evolved Scorpio. But even so, there's a little bit of Scorpios can't even help it. They're just Yeah, it's paranoia. It's like, what are you trying to? Are you the FBI? Like, what's happening right now? It's like, no, actually, I care about you, and you don't look very happy, and so I'm just trying to figure out if I can help you. Never mind, and then you start backing away because they start. I need to figure out the right noise for this, but you know what I'm saying. Yeah. And here's the thing with Scorpions, having been almost attacked by one. I went kind of blurry for a second, so bear with me. Having been almost attacked by one, they start doing their thing before they do their thing. You know what I mean? Like they give you a little hint, like it's too much, right? Like you're getting too close. They give you little hints, and Scorpios do that too. You know, like if you're just trying to chit chat with them, they don't really have room for chit chat. Remember, they don't need you as a friend. They don't need you as a friend. And if you're a colleague, why would they be your friend? What's that about? You know, I have friends, they're not here. It's just, to them it's just really weird, you know, whereas to other signs it's like, can't we all just get along? We can't just all get along. Okay, never mind. But that aloofness of Scorpio combined with the fact that they always look good. Scorpio, if they show up not looking good, they're like Sagittarius that way. If you see a Scorpio and they don't look good, something is so wrong. Something is so wrong. Well, seriously, like the apocalypse is about to happen if you see a Scorpio that doesn't look good. I'm surrounded in a room right now by a bunch of Scorpios and everybody looks nice. You know, it's like, you know, there are other signs where they're going to roll in and this is just how it is and you're just going to handle that. But Sagittarius is the same way, by the way. Gemini. Yeah, no, Gemini. And Leo, too. We have scrubby days. I mean, we're not going to let you see it, but we have scrubby days. Scorpios don't have scrubby days. They just don't have it. And Scorpios are also aware of how other people look. Like, did you see that? And they probably won't say it to you. Unless you're really close to them, they won't say, did you see that? But the look is like... You know, my roots grow out. Sometimes, like, they're really grown out. Right now, I'm very, very gray. I'm almost 100% gray. And it's always a Scorpio who, like, is looking at me, but they're looking at my roots. You know? And it's like, I see you. You're going to do it. And it's fun for a Leo to be like, I see you looking at my roots, Scorpio. I see it. And you know what? I'm going to get it done next week, and I need you just to not do that right now. Not do that. Scorpio wants you to keep it together. Now, Scorpio men, some of this applies, what I've just told you. Some of it applies, some of it doesn't. But Scorpio men have a real fear that their relationship is not built on a deep emotional connection, okay? Scorpio, at the end of the day, one of their biggest fears is that they're going to get into a relationship and that they're going to be found out or wounded. You know what I mean? Like underneath it all, there's a sensitivity if you can get past it all. I mean, you got to get through these chambers, I like to think of it. It's like, people describe dating a Scorpio as a mating dance with a very deadly animal. And there's going to be all these things, and they're going to do the things. And then if you get through the entire mating dance alive, right? I mean, I'm not kidding. This is how they describe it in astrological books. It's a mating dance with a deadly animal. And if you get through it and you survive it, now you have a partner for life. Is that not true, Scorpio? Scorpios are in it to win it, but they're going to put you through the hoops, and they're going to remind you all the time that they don't need you. Which for a woman can be really difficult. Like, you love me, but you don't necessarily need me kind of thing. Although, in my experience, Scorpio men are a little bit more emotionally available than the women. I don't mean that in a bad way. But in my experience, Scorpio men are a little bit more emotionally available than the women. The women have more of there's a coldness to you, Scorpio. And I think that's part of what's so intimidating. It's also part of what's so sexy and alluring, though, too. It's almost like a dare to people, like, can I get close to her? You know, could I do it? Can I get there? And you make friendship feel like such a reward. Like, oh, I did it. Like, I got to be her friend or whatever. You know, it's like... It was such hard work, you know, but I stayed the course, and I didn't ask too many questions, and I fixed my hair, and, like, I'm there now. You know, like, that's really what it is. Okay. So there are two kind of, like, truths about Scorpio that I want to share with you, and then the karmic lessons that I think are attached to each of those. The first is, Scorpio really believes, on some fundamental level, in a way that no other sign does, that there is power in darkness. and however you define darkness, mystery, the occult in some ways, but not. I'm actually talking about more like shadow. Okay, like there's power in what's not known. They feel like they have power in what they don't reveal to you, whereas most signs feel like there's power in what they do tell you. Does that make sense? So Scorpio is withholding from you because that's how they have power. And the more you kind of like tease out of them, the more they feel like they've surrendered something to you. And that's why they'll stop talking to you. Like Scorpios are just, bye Felicia, out of my life. No, they will cut you. They will cut you in every way. And let me just tell you, it's really it's only happened to me a couple times, but Scorpio, they really will just leave you behind and never think about you again. And there aren't a lot of signs who can do that, but Scorpio can completely cut you out. So that's more something to know. So here's what I think is the karmic lesson about darkness is power. There's power in the light too. That's a huge lesson, right? And that's the thing that, mythologically, historically, that Virgo has to teach Scorpio. Remember, Virgo's task is to stay in the light. Scorpio's task is to dance in the darkness. And there's a balance there that Libra is trying to remind you that there's power in light. What is that, for any of you in the room who are Scorpios, what does that mean for you? If I tell you there's power in light too, what's an initial response from you?
How do I find it?
How do I find it? It's true, right?
But my first thought is there's more power in dark.
But there's more.
Some in light, but
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. So I teach classes on shadow work. And my students resist it. They're scared of it. This is terrible. What happens if I fall in, and like I help and I can't fall in and I can't get up or whatever? Scorpios are like, oh no, I live there. You don't have to drive me to Crazy Town. I live in Crazy Town. Can we do light work? That would really help me because I don't know how to do light work, but I dance with the shadow all the time. It's my profession, right? So, and the reality is there is power in darkness. And that's where Scorpio, I think, gets caught. What we learn in shadow work is if you live your whole life in shadow, or if you live your whole life in the light, and you deny either of those things, that's the root of illness and disease. Like, it's the balance of the light and the darkness that creates health. And it's a work in progress. Like, nobody finds the perfect balance between light and darkness, or light and shadow, and just works it out and figures it out and is fine for the rest of their life. Nobody does. But Scorpio, because of your proclivity to want to be in the shadows, because that, for a Scorpion, is where it's safe. Scorpions don't live in the middle of your patio. They live under a rock. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So does that suggest that having Virgos in your life is a good thing?
It is.
Because I tend to have a lot of Virgos in my life. Close friends, my
Mm-hmm.
husband.
Mm-hmm.
I attract Virgos, and it sounds like there's a reason for that.
Yeah, so the question is, does that mean it would be good for a Scorpio to have Virgos in your life? And I absolutely think it is. I think it's harder to navigate Virgos for Scorpios unless you're evolved. Any evolved sign can handle Virgos' fireballs, and they really are fireballs. Nobody can be quite as mean as a Virgo. In part because it's like, have you ever like pricked yourself with really sharp tweezers? It's just like it's like a shot. It's so sharp that you kind of, at first you don't notice it, and then you're like, ow, that really hurt. That's Virgo's words sometimes. So, and because Scorpio, you're so deep, like you're so deep. Pisces is wide, and it's the breadth. Scorpio is the depth. Like the bottom of the ocean where there's creatures we don't even know. Like there's big octopuses and stuff. That's Scorpio to me. So because you go so deep, Virgo has more potential to hurt you. Unless you're evolved and then and you developed a thicker skin and you don't feel it quite as much. Does that make sense? No, there's a question from over here too.
I feel that I'm an evolved Scorpio.
Yeah.
My dad is a Virgo,
Mm.
and my ex-husband is a Virgo.
Mm-hmm.
They were born on the same day. Felt like that was a lot.
We could do a lot with that.
But my dad, he still can get me.
Oh yeah.
I just don't say anything.
Yeah.
But I feel like I want to just get over that, but maybe just because it's my dad. I don't know.
Well, my mantra with my husband is, I'm not available for that right now. We start to go down that rabbit hole together, and it's like, I'm not present for that today. So what we're going to do today is a lot of kindness and overlooking of flaws. And that's what we're going to do today. If you'd like to do that critique stuff, maybe tomorrow or next week would be good for that, but not today. I'm not available for that today. And it just sets a nice healthy boundary for what we're gonna do together today. And it helps him too. And we really do talk to each other like that. Like, oh well, no, not today. But I do think one of the things for all the astrological signs that you have to think about is kind of you decide. That's one of my mantras in life. You decide. So if you're gonna make yourself available for certain patterns in relationships, you decide it's going to be okay for you and what you're going to experience. But I think a lot of us, even as women, we're still working through maternal patterns. It's interesting that they have the same birthday. It's interesting. But here's the thing, and I want to say this about Scorpio too. Think about all the births in the world. We talked about this, right? It wasn't me. Yeah. Brian says I was at church. I was not at church, but I was here, and I imagine you saw me put it out. That was not me. That was a fire alarm. We're next to a fire station. Sage caused the irony. That's so good. It's just so good. All that's so good about Virgo, right? And I try with each sign to do that too. All that's so good about Scorpio, which is they teach us about the mystery of life, just by their very being. Like, you embody mystery. And that's so intoxicating. Because here's the thing you have to remember about Scorpio and everybody in general. Everybody wants to believe. I think, in the world I live in and the work that I do, I can promise you this is true. We all want to believe that there's a bigger mystery than what we see, that there's some greater force that created us to whom we're going to return when we die, that maybe there are ghosts and goblins, and maybe there are, all the things people want to believe. And we have some inkling that all of what I just said might be true. And Scorpio, it has this essential ability to embody that belief without even talking about it. It's like you hold all that mystery. And so that's why you're so powerful as people. Do you ever get that feeling with Scorpios? Like when I'm near them, I just feel like I'm near something so deep and powerful that I just want to sit with it. Almost like when you're looking into their eyes, it's like you can see past their eyes into these tunnels, and it's like there's no end to it, But just because that's interesting and that's powerful, and it's a reminder to you that there's magic in the world and in the universe, that's also scary too. And people can sometimes feel like that's too much. Yeah? Oh, okay. Hi. She's super cute. We have littles in the room today, which I think is so much fun. I actually love having young energy in the building. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, so let me tell you about the other truth about Scorpio, and then the other karmic lesson from my perspective. So, and I don't know, again, a lot of this is what I'm telling you tonight, other than a few bits and pieces, is really just the world according to me in astrology, but I've been doing this for a long time, so I'm curious if this resonates with you. Almost every Scorpio I know has a bucket list of things they want to do in their life that almost kill them. Okay? Like, oh, I went to contortion school. Really? Who goes to contortion school? Or, oh, I jumped off this mountain in blah, 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 and it's like the most deadly mountain in the world. Or if they're not doing it, they're thinking about it. They know somebody who goes to contortion school, and they're not talking about it because they're not going to tell you anything. Why would they tell you anything? But they're thinking about it, and they almost signed up. Scorpio really has some latent desire to get as close to death as possible, because that aligns to darkness. Am I making sense at all? Mm-hmm. Okay. And so it's like, how low can you go, kind of thing? And so there's this sense of like defying death is power. So darkness is power, defying death is power. And I think what the karmic lesson is for that is you don't have to come right up to death and cuddle it in order to experience the power that it represents. Does that make sense? Like, you don't have to almost do the thing, or find ways to contort your body, or almost cut something off, or jump off a thing, or collect saws. I have a Scorpio friend who collects saws. You don't have to do all that in order to experience your own power. And any thoughts about that?
Isn't that why we're using code words the act of sensuality
Yeah.
is so intoxicating for Scorpios, because it really is sort of, it's when the veil between where we are today and what's beyond gets very thin in that moment.
That's beautiful, actually. And yes, they call it the little death in French, right? Le petit mort, right? And in order to have, I'm going to use code, in order to have the experience of the most fun part of the intimate act, it is the most fun part, right? So in order to do that thing, that O thing, did you know that you have to stop breathing? The moment you have that, there's no breath. So a lot of times when people come to me and they can't have that moment, and they're coming to me because they want to know if there's a stone for that or whatever, what I tell them is, you have to stop being afraid to die. It's crazy, right? But there's some latent fear, and it's so subconscious, I'm telling you. I'm probably like blowing people's mind online right now. But it's really true, because you have to completely surrender your breath. I do breath work. Does anybody else do breath work meditation? Where you really have to connect to your breath, and you have to completely surrender your breath too. And so it's very much related to that experience of where your willingness to let go and possibly not survive is what brings you to the brink of total ecstasy. Like that dichotomy. It's so powerful. And for Scorpio, it's like Scorpios want to have that experience all the time. And because they can't be in public and have that experience all the time, I mean, you could, I guess, but it's weird. So because you can't do that, you do other things. Like, oh, I can't do that all the time, so I'm going to go to contortion school, and make myself stop breathing because I pretzel myself into a weird ball with my, legs behind asphyxiate myself in contortion class. That's just Scorpio. But again, and then the rest of us are on the outside going, what's that like? We're too scared, right? But we're going to live vicariously through Scorpio, who's so brave. Like, they're going to go do the thing. But they're not going to tell you about it. You ask them what it's like, and they're like, why do you want to know?
Was David Carradine Scorpio?
That's a good question. I don't know. Probably. I bet if we start, like, scratching the surface and looking back at, like, all the people who did the things, they're all Scorpios. Yeah. I don't know for sure, but that's a good question. Yeah. Okay. So one of the questions I have for you tonight, and it'd be really good for you to journal about this, is that balance between Scorpion and Eagle. How do you negotiate that? And you might even consider journaling around what are my Scorpion moments and what are my Eagle moments. Scorpio parents. So let's talk about a little bit more about rising moon and parenting, if that's helpful. Are there any other questions about Scorpio in general tonight? Yeah.
I have a question online about triple water.
Oh, triple water. Okay, triple water people. I know quite a few triple water people. And I don't know why, because, Leos hurt their feelings, and so I don't know why they'd be attracted to. I'm double fire, so it's a bad mix. But triple water people are, think about it, they are the reservoirs of the universe. They are holding all of it. I was intimately involved for some time with a Pisces sun, Scorpio Moon, Scorpio rising. And that is like, and I'm afraid of water. It was a juicy relationship though, but what that person did, and I used to, articulate this all the time. I was like, you're trying to take me to the bottom of the ocean, and I'm scared to go. But it's so alluring because, once triple water people show you like the total expanse of what's possible in a relationship, like that you can really know that much. Because Scorpio, when you open up, like, let's be honest, it really opens up. Once you've like kind of committed, then there's like no end to you. That's the depth. Again, that's the depth of a Scorpio. They don't give it to very many people. Scorpios are not people, by the way, who've had the small death with a lot of people, in my experience. They're not like Leos, where they, they're bit what was Austin Powers' line? They're the neighborhood bicycle or whatever. There's a little bit of that in the Leos. I don't know if that's a helpful metaphor, but Leos are experienced. Scorpios, so oftentimes are not, and it's not, first of all, they don't need to be experienced to be good at it. Scorpios are so lucky, especially the men. It's like, I think they're just born knowing how to do the thing. You know what I mean? Like a Scorpio man, it's like, they're attractive, they're there, it's happening, they're so ready for you to have the experience with them, and I don't think they need any training. They don't have like practice to be good at it. I'm being very delicate, but hopefully you understand what I'm talking about. Scorpio men truly are delicious. Like, they're edible. Brian is agreeing with me. They are edible. If you're watching me right now and you're a Scorpio man, I don't even know you, and I think you're edible. So, which you can't say that about most men of most signs. Like, you can't say about Taurus men that they're edible. Love you, Taurus men, but you're not edible. You're very refined, and you're very astute, and you're very smart, and you're very charming. You're not edible. Anyway, I hope I'm not offending anybody. Virgos, you're not edible either. But mostly because I think you have like teeth and like little nails on you, and if somebody ate you, it'd be very painful. You know, Virgos have little spikes on them. You know, they're like porcupines. Okay, so triple water is just all the feelings all the time. Think about it this way. We talked about Pisces as breadth and Scorpio as depth. Triple water is the breadth and the depth. It's like all of the oceans in the world. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm a Sun in Scorpio and a Moon in Pisces.
Yeah.
Does that apply? Is that what?
Mm-hmm. It is.
Wow.
It's sort of the reverse of what I just shared with you.
Yeah.
But Pisces, Sun Pisces, people are going to be more receptive, open, willing to engage, better at relationship. Scorpio Sun is going to be more kind of resistant, secretive, aloof. But at the end of the day, when you both get into a partnership, whether it's the reverse of each of those things, the outcome's going to be the same. Total availability, the willingness to have the full spectrum of experiences. No one integrates emotion into that physical act like Scorpio. When they're with the right partner. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, there are some signs for whom that experience is really dry because they don't know how to get the emotions in there. It's so intimate, right? But Scorpios are very familiar with intimacy, and they seek it. They want it. They want to feel like they're with the right person. They're not going to waste their time. Yeah. Oh, is chat? Oh. Hold on. Let me refresh my chat. Sorry for getting really up close and personal with you. Just a minute. Don't look at my roots. It's so awful. You know what? You try being gray at 30 and see how it works for you. It was really hard. I was fully gray at 30. But you know what? I'm cute. It's okay. I have to tell myself that all the time. Like, there are people who can color my hair and it'll be fine. Okay. Oh yeah, I can see questions now. Okay, good. What about Scorpio Sun with double Pisces, Moon and Rising? So we've been talking about that. Scorpio woman and Taurus man. We just talked about that a little bit. Taurus men are amazing at finding the right partner for them. They take their time. We talked about this with Taurus, remember? Like when Taurus men get married, it usually works because they like wait it out and make the woman wait for a long time. And Scorpio women know how good they are. You know, like there's no cheap ticket for a Scorpio lady. So that's actually a really good combination if they can get to that point in the relationship. Does someone else in the room have another question? Yes.
I had a question.
Yeah.
So I'm Scorpio Sun and
Yeah.
then Virgo Rising.
Yeah.
Virgo Rising.
Okay.
I feel like I'm kind of constantly battling between like my Scorpio side, like when I'm on my own, I'm very secretive and dark and kind of quiet, just like fine being by myself. But
Yeah.
then I have this outer identity of very like people pleasing and very sunny and bright, and it's like I kind of have a hard time like balancing the two, or like I feel like I'm like two different people half the time. It kind of sucks.
Yeah, so the question is navigating. Well, it's a valid thing. That is a tough combination to balance. It's really tough for Scorpio Sun.
And a Libra Moon. So I
Oh
have
well,
that
for
balance.
goodness sake.
Yeah.
The nice thing is you have a nice diversity of elements there. There's no fire there. So I'd be really curious to look at your chart and see if you're aspected with fire somewhere else. Because you have the earth kind of grounding you. You've got air energy to kind of move through. That's probably why part of you is so sunny and light. But then you've got the Scorpio kind of holding you back. So that's a very interesting profile to me. But so Scorpio with other things is very hard to negotiate. And if it's happening in your own body, that's kind of hard. It's like a lot of Scorpios will come to me and say, I don't know who I am yet.
Yeah.
am I this darkness? Am I really, that's why the candle is like kind of no joke. Like, am I really this dark? I don't always feel this dark. Or, people have gotten to know me and now they take me this way and I want to lighten up. I don't even know how to lighten up. And then if I lighten up, people are like, what is wrong with you? Like, what's happening? Who are you? Why are you being friendly to me today? It's like they can't back into friendliness. It becomes really hard for Scorpio people. But I think part of the evolution of Scorpio and becoming more integrated within yourself is to realize what we talked about tonight. Like, there's power in lightness. There's power in that part of you, that Libra part of you that wants to connect and laugh and be lighthearted and enjoy life and not take it so seriously, that there's power there too. And then you won't feel as self-conscious, because that Scorpio is always like, no, you shouldn't trust them, or no, you're going to look weak kind of thing when you do that. And that's what, that inner chatter can be really, disabling for Scorpios. Yeah, it's tricky. It's tricky. And people in the feed are echoing this too. How do I negotiate that Libra? Here's a Libra sun with a Scorpio rising. Kind of the same thing I was just sharing with the woman in the room here, for sure. So let me see if there's a question in the feed. So many combinations. Scorpio IC. Hear a little about Scorpio IC. Scorpio man and Aries woman as lovers. So let me put this into chunks. Okay, I think Scorpios with fire signs is tricky, because fire signs are very direct, and that can kind of upset Scorpio, who's not direct. Scorpios are a lot of things, they're not direct. And so it can be, it can be a little challenging for you to manage fire sign energy, but you're attracted to it because you like, part of you aspires to be that, right? Direct, outgoing, all those things. Like, you see people and fire signs seem like they're always enjoying life. They're not. They're setting things on fire and they're burning up relationships. So if you think we're having a good time, it just looks like that most of the time. But it tends to not work as well. Scorpios with the air signs, you don't like people who talk too much. It gets on your nerves. Be honest. You don't like people who talk too much because you're kind of wondering why they're talking something. It's like, at a certain point, Scorpios don't hear the thing. They just, it's like, it's Charlie Brown's teacher. So that's kind of not attractive. The earth signs attract you a lot because you're like, okay, now here's somebody who's serious and stable and gets it, and they're gonna, but that's boring, and they're not as good in bed as you are. So that's tricky. Not all of them. I'm talking mostly about Capricorn and Taurus. Sorry. And then you have the water signs, who, you look at Pisces and you're like, okay, they get the depth, they can handle me, right? But then, Pisces is kind of weak to you, Scorpio. Pisces cries. Scorpios don't cry. If you see a Scorpio crying, something, again, is very wrong. If you see them and they look bad, and if you see them and they're crying, something is happening in their life, and you can ask them what's wrong. They're not going to tell you, but you probably should still ask them. They'll appreciate it if they don't, respond to you. So Pisces thinks Scorpio thinks Pisces is kind of weak for crying all the time, because Pisces cry a lot, and so do Cancers. Cancers cry all the time too. And so what happens with Scorpio and Cancer is it's just sort of like, you made me mad, and I'll never forget what you said, and then I said something else, and now you won't ever forget what I said, and so let's just never see each other again. There's a lot of that with Cancer. And so if you have Cancer in your chart and Scorpio in your chart, you probably are not speaking to yourself. And one of you is going to have to forgive the other. Okay, Scorpio kids. Sheree says Libras cry a lot. Libras do cry a lot. Libras cry a lot in private, though, because they're really proud people. Kind of like Leos, we cry in private too. We don't cry. If you see a Leo crying in front of you, again, it's apocalypse time. Scorpio kids, here's the thing: all water sign kids are really intense, and if you're parenting them, you got to buckle up. You got to be willing to ride the wave with a Scorpio child. A Scorpio child is going to hide things from you. You as a parent in the early years need to make sure that you have made clear to them that you are a safe person to trust things with. Does that make sense? They're going to hide things from you. Don't assume that they're hiding things from you because they're trying to be bad kids. Do you know what I mean? My daughter hides things from me, and again, it's like, I only use Tide detergent. Who cares you don't have to hide that. Or like, I hid all my Barbie clothes. Why did you I mean, from who? You have an older brother. And I mean, who are you doing? But there's these elaborate schemes to like keep secrets because that's power, right? My power is my secret and my power is my darkness. And then they feel like the darkness has to be a secret because, Scorpio kids find out very early on that it's not normal to love darkness as much as they do. Like, oh, all the people don't love that? Oh, probably shouldn't talk about that as much as I do. And then they learn to kind of zip it and clip it, right? And not share as much as they do. So what I have tried to do with my Scorpio Moon child is completely indulge it. Again, it's hard. Do I want her to be a zombie for Halloween? I don't want that. There's going to be pictures of that. One day she's going to look at me and say, I was an attractive young child. You let me be a bloody-fingered zombie for Halloween. I'm going to make her like sign a thing probably this week that says, I agreed to this costume. I asked for this. You are relieved of all maternal responsibility for this. And put it away in her little keepsake box. But I have made it clear to my daughter, from a parenting perspective, that I won't try to violate her secrets. I would prefer that she's open and honest with me and that I'm a safe person to be open and honest with because she's not going to shock me. I think Scorpios are afraid they're going to shock people. Does that resonate? Like, if I really tell people what's going on in my head, they're not. Being judged. And it's like, and so with a Scorpio, one of the really powerful questions you can have them sit with is, what if there wasn't anything you could tell me that would shock me? Like, what if you really trusted that? Like, you could tell me anything, like all the things. How low can you go, Scorpio, right? Mm-hmm. And that I will still be with you here. You can't shock me, you can't scare me, and actually it'll create deeper intimacy for me with you. Like, if you can really create that space, that's where Scorpio is going to meet you halfway. But how many people can do that?
I can't.
She can. I'm trying. It's hard. And even if you have the full intention of it, I've thought about the scope of that as a parent. Like, if I'm really creating that space for my daughter, like, she may take me up on it and share some stuff. And if I'm really going to do this work with her in this lifetime together, man, I better buckle up. Because if I say I'm a safe person for you to share with and I'm really available to you, and then she shares something super creepy, and it's like, oh, just kidding, that's too much, sorry, Scorpio, then she's going to do the thing. She's going to run away. Yeah? Any other questions about parenting, and then we'll talk about the soul work and some of the gemstones that I think are important for Scorpios to work with.
Yeah, Scorpio parents.
Scorpio parents. This we call managing up, okay? Managing up a Scorpio. Lord.
Well, I mean, you consider Carol.
Yeah.
We both have Scorpio mothers.
Aww. Cheers. Brian is now hugging Carol because they both have Scorpio mothers.
And Carol's mother is in the room.
And Carol's mother is about 15 feet away.
You can sense her.
We are having therapy right now here at Sage Goddess. No, let me tell you, I think that Scorpio parents teach their kids a lot, again, about magic and possibility and depth. And I'm somebody, a lot of you may feel this way too. I love people who kind of like, I can't get to the bottom of them. Do you know what I mean? Like and you can't get to the bottom of a Scorpio. You're not going to get there. You can keep trying. You're not going to get to the bottom of them because here's the thing, Scorpios haven't gotten to the bottom of themselves yet. So the idea that you're going to figure it out when they haven't figured it out that's not going to happen. So how do you manage that as a sign? Scorpios as parents, if they're evolved, they've learned how to cuddle and cuddle. By cuddling Scorpio, I mean putting your arms around someone and tenderly holding them. I know it's very hard, but like that. So Scorpio parents who are evolved have learned how to cuddle. They've learned how to play. They learned how to be more engaging and outgoing. They've learned that it's safe to trust themselves with other people because they're having to open up. Children teach Scorpio parents so much about opening up and being emotionally available and vulnerable, right? To engage that depth with your child. One of the reasons Scorpio have a hard time engaging, and this is different from Cancer and Pisces, Scorpios really, really do, on some fundamental level, connect intimacy with the act we were talking about earlier. So when that intimacy is with your child, it's almost like they know how to be intimate in that sense, but they struggle how to be intimate, do you know what I mean? In relationships where that's not what we're talking about with intimacy. Does that make sense? So they have to learn these different realms of intimacy and how to connect when there isn't a physical component to the connection, but still make themselves available for the non small death form of intimacy, which would involve cuddling, for example, and bedtime stories. Unevolved, let me give you the reverse. Unevolved Scorpio parents are really cold. And their kids grow up without the emotional connection that they need, and hopefully they get it from the other parent. Is the short side of the... Was that too cold and cutting for... They can be, hopefully there's like a Cancer dad, or, Cancer dads are just waiting to give you a hug. Seriously, Cancer dads around the world right now are somewhere sitting on a couch waiting to hug you. That's what Cancer dads do. I have one. He's somewhere sitting on a couch waiting for me to go hug him. So, as a Scorpio woman, if you want to have children and you don't want to evolve yourself, which is fine, one thing you could do is try to attract a nice Cancer mate. Just saying. Or what would be other signs that would be really good for that? I mean, Geminis will do the thing with the kids if you don't want to cuddle and be close to your children. But I think, Gemini would be a kid with the kids. But here's the thing. Scorpio wants to do it. Scorpio just has this, they have to get over the fear. Because, again, the fear is you're going to wound them somehow. And Scorpios inherently know that kids have, a beeline to your heart. You know what I mean? So it's like, ooh, this little person could really hurt me. And with partners, you're like, oh, forget you. You know what I mean? Like, you want to hurt me, you'll never see me again. But with kids, you kind of can't do that. Like, they're kind of there. You kind of signed up for the long haul. There's a mom in the room who has a Scorpio daughter. And I think that's fun. Because they could chill each other out. They could just be cold to each other. Hopefully they're going to be just very loving, and they're going to evolve together, and they could be very close to each other. But there can be, I will say this, there can be, honestly, no better mother or parent or father than an evolved Scorpio. Because, again, remember, what do Scorpios do? They hold the magic. Out of all the signs of the zodiac, Scorpios hold, the universe of wisdom, truly. And they hold it without even saying a word to you. And that's why you want to be with them and around them. But, man, you attract partners, Scorpio, who need therapy, or I don't know what. I don't know what they're trying to get from you, Scorpio, but you have to figure out, do you want to keep doing this and try to find the right partner? But Scorpios attract partners who need things from you that you either can't give or don't want to give. And that's really tricky, they want your magic, but they're not bringing anything to the table for you. So you're like, you can't, my magic's not free. What are you bringing to the table, kind of thing. Yeah. Scorpio Sag Cusp. Oh, we get to talk about Sagittarius next. Anybody a Sagittarius? Yeah? Rising. Moon? I have a Sag Moon.
I have an NC in Sagittarius.
NC?
MC.
Mercury.
Yeah, Mercury. I'm sorry. I thought that's not cusp? No. It's Mercury.
My
Yeah.
moon is Sagittarius, not my rising.
Ah. Yeah?
My rising is Libra.
Rising is Libra? Okay. Yeah, so we're going to talk about Sagittarius next. The set, by the way, for Sagittarius is in the shop. A lot of you are Sagittarius, and you've been waiting. Sagittarius are the adventurers. They have a hard time being faithful, which is one of the really... They do. Let's be honest. They do. Because here's the thing. Sagittarius is here for the buffet of life. I'm Sagittarius Moon. We are here for the buffet of life. The buffet of life has lots of different kinds of fish in it. And also many vegetables, a variety of meats and cheeses. And it's like, ooh, wait, what do you mean pick one fish? But I'm here at the buffet. You know what I mean? Are you kidding me right now? So that's Sagittarius, because we want to experience everything, and it's really important to us that we experience all the things. Men in particular who are Sagittarius have a hard time being faithful. Whenever I have a girlfriend who says, I'm dating a guy, and his birthday is December 13th, and I'm like, ooh. It's probably very fun. Good luck, Is there anyone else on the horizon? Have you found yourself a nice Virgo or Cancer? But anyway, so Scorpio Sag Cusp is the kind of the scorpion who's on the edge of wanting to have the buffet. You know what I mean? So half of you is kind of closed off, and the other half of you is like, the universe is big, and I could sample all the things. And that would be an inner conflict that I think would be very difficult to manage. Yeah? Yeah. Somebody's asking about Scorpio Moon. Just rewind back, because we talked quite a bit about Scorpio Moon tonight. You may have jumped in here later on, but Scorpio Moon is something we've talked quite a bit about tonight. And then the other cusp, the Libra cusp. Is anybody on that cusp? Yeah. That's another one. Because Scorpio or Libras are nice, and they're outgoing, and they want to talk to you, and they're interested, and Scorpios aren't. Right? And so there's this inner conflict of like, am I that person? Am I that conversationalist and that one who wants to be in the mix and wants to talk and wants to hang out and socialize? Or am I that person who wants to retreat and sort of like, cover up and be paranoid? And I think they're probably you're both. When you're cuspy, you're both. But Scorpio is one of the signs where the cusps are really difficult. And Scorpios feel the cusps, I think, more than almost any other astrological sign, because their cusps are like polar opposites, really. I know all cusps are different, but Libra and Scorpio, you almost can't get more different than that. Scorpio and Sagittarius, again, when you think about a bug at a buffet, it's sort of like, what's happening right now, It's weird. It's a weird cusp. Well, it looks like we just got our feedback a little bit. It's been wonky tonight, guys. Thank you for your patience with that. Well, I hope you have enjoyed. Let me talk about the stones super, super quick, and then we will sign off until Sagittarius. There's really two stones in the set that I want to focus on since we're out of time, and that is Aragonite and Snowflake Obsidian. These are the two critical stones for you, Scorpio. If you're not working with them, you need to. This is what brown Aragonite looks like from Peru. Isn't it gorgeous? It's hard to get it in focus on the camera. And then this is what Snowflake Obsidian looks like. Anybody want to guess why Snowflake Obsidian is the #1 stone for Scorpios to work with? Light and shadow. If you want to work on reconciling these two parts of yourself and evolve, this is your weapon. Truly. And what's really great about it is you can find a nice piece. It's a relatively affordable stone because it's a relatively common stone, but there is no stone better in the entire mineral kingdom for reconciling light and shadow than this little secret weapon right here. It will really do the trick for you. This is brown Aragonite, which somebody's asking about blue Aragonite. Totally different stone and set of properties. It's the same mineral, but has a totally different metaphysical set of properties. So brown Aragonite actually has calcite within it. It's compressed material that grows over time. And so it's about reconciling, and it's about finding peace within, which is really important. And Aragonite has this beautiful capability, because Scorpios are kind of like all over the place all the time. They look on the outside like they're completely placid, like still water. Do you know what I mean? But in their head, what's happening? Everything is happening. There was a meme I posted in the event page. Did you see it? It's the iceberg, and there's like a little bit above the water. It says, what I say, and then the huge iceberg down below, what I'm thinking. I swear to you, Scorpio, this will make your life better. And all you have to do to work with these stones, I would put one in either hand and close your eyes and just begin a meditation. Spend a minute or two a day. You don't have to try to think about anything. Just quiet your mind and let the stones do the work. Reconciling light and shadow, finding the peace within, and starting to balance out your iceberg so that you're thinking as much as you're saying. Maybe saying more than you think, which will help you feel more connected to people in your life, not as isolated as you tend to feel, which is, it makes you sad. That's the sad thing. Scorpios can be very, very sad. They'll never show you. And they will not show you unless they really trust you. And even then, they may not show you. So I think one of the goals for you, Scorpio, should be to learn to develop intimacy outside of a physical relationship and take the risk to trust people. Remember that people see you as threatening, right? I mean, that's tricky. We see Scorpios as threatening. You could kill us. You're not, nobody sees a scorpion and is like, well, let's just let it be. Should we take it outside? Should we put it in a cup and throw it outside? No. They step on that thing as fast as they can. Nobody lets the scorpion live when it's in their house. I can tell you, because they're native around here and people are terrified of them. Knowing that about yourself means you have to learn to help people see you as not threatening. Do you know what I mean? So how can you do that? You've got to be more kind, more open, more outgoing, more available, more trusting. That's your work in this life. And to remember that there's power in light. Truly, truly. All right, well, namaste, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for bearing with me while we got our feed ready. Thank you, everybody in the room, for being here. Thank you, Scorpios, for not taking it too personally. Will you forgive me? Will you ever speak to me again? I don't know. We'll see. My Scorpio employees, by the way, I hire Scorpios like nobody's business, because you know why? They're really smart. They get what we're doing. I mean, they're naturally gifted at the work that we do. And honestly, I like a little mystery.
Kelly Love.
Kelly Love is a Scorpio. Naima is a Scorpio. So 2 of the main goddesses in our world here are Scorpios, and we love them for it, because they embody the mystery, and I appreciate that. So we love you, Scorpio. Don't take it too personally. Please speak to me tomorrow. That's all I ask. Let me back into your good graces. We'll see you soon, everybody. Take care.